Hello. Please mute your phones and turn your attention to the public safety announcement. In the event of an emergency at NJ Transit, your safety is our top priority. Please follow these important instructions. In case of an emergency, announcements will be made over the loudspeaker or by a uniformed police officer. The emergency exit to McCarter Highway is the red stairwell located near the first security desk after you exit the boardroom. If necessary, CPR will be administered using the defibrillator. Please do not approach the dais. Documents can be presented to staff at the entrance to the boardroom. Please follow the directions of NJ Transit Police and staff. Thank you, and have a safe day.
Good morning. The September 30th, 2025 Operations and Customer Service Committee will now begin. I will now take roll call. Board Member Cruz.
Here.
Board Member McCray.
Here.
Board Member Nara.
Here.
For the record, Board Members Cruz, McCray, and Nara are participating remotely. Board Member Thomas is absent. Next is public comments. There's no in-person speakers and one pre-registered telephone speaker. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Priority access will be given to pre-registered telephone participants, followed by any additional telephone participants who are queued to speak. Those participating by telephone, if you have not already done so, please press *1 on your telephone keypad to enter the queue to speak. You will hear a brief tone to indicate you have successfully entered the queue. Operator, please open the floor to public comments by telephone participants.
Thank you. As a reminder, if you have not already done so, please press *1 on your telephone keypad to enter the queue to speak. You will hear a brief tone to indicate you have successfully entered the queue. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes for their public comment. A warning will be provided with 1 minute remaining, and again with 15 seconds remaining. And there are 3 public comments in queue. The first public comment is coming from Adam Reich. Adam, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Good morning. With mean distance between, let me stop and just say I'm speaking in a personal capacity using personal time. With mean distance between failure for rail equipment, it used to be that we would get quarterly reports that gave a breakdown by equipment type. I'm asking the board to ensure that staff returns to this practice. Riders know what trains they rely on to get to work. It helps to know what the trend is for specific types of equipment like multi-levels or arrows, not just to have an average of your fleet. Given that riders are paying higher fares, we deserve at least the same level of transparency we once used to get. Beyond that, with mean distance between failure, I note that for rail, there was a slight uptick in August. Were there any particular changes made to policies or practices that help drive this? Is there a comprehensive mean distance between failure plan for the existing rail fleet? It's critical just because I know it'll be months before we start seeing new equipment and revenue service and years before new equipment makes up the bulk of the fleet. So having a plan for the existing fleet is imperative. Next, with the minor derailment in Summit on Saturday, I failed to understand why New Jersey Transit didn't run anything of a stub service between, say, Maplewood or Millburn and New York. We see this a lot where there's a service disruption and New Jersey Transit makes little or no effort to run a truncated service if the entire line can't be used. Equipment idles every weekend in Great Notch Yard, and the Montclair Booten line was open, so equipment certainly could have been relayed out of Dover Yard and to the M&E at Newark Broad Street. Why wasn't this option considered, especially when you have dual modes that could be used if the catenary needed to be de-energized? You have people who wanted to go both to events in New York, but also to jobs along the way who didn't have service and don't really have great alternatives, especially on weekends. Can we work on contingency planning for future service disruptions
1 minute remaining
to make more of an effort to have an actual contingency plan when part of a line is disrupted, especially here where you have other yards and other lines to detour the service? It's also markedly inconsistent. Can somebody explain the logic of running the Booten Scoot without a connecting rail line, but not finding that it was worth the effort to run a regular service between Millburn or Maplewood and New York, even on a limited basis, when you had a 3-track line that was unobstructed between those points? Finally, Mr. Calori, you've expressed interest in how I spend my time. I've raised the issue of New Jersey Transit employees pressuring interest groups, pressuring Railway Historical Society groups, because of my criticism of your predecessor. If you're willing to help me, as you've said, will you speak with me about looking at whether your employees were doing this on company time and how to curb this so that employees do not apply undue political pressure for advocacy among riders and the public? Thank you.
Thank you. The next public comment will be from Andy Weiss. Andy, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Good morning. I watched the meeting yesterday about the new bus purchases with Mr. Kaluri and other staff. I am happy that NJ Transit will have, I heard, 578 60-foot NJ Transit buses. This is great news for NJ Transit bus riders. And we desperately need these 60-foot buses in Hudson County. I remember reading on your website that there was only 100 of the 60-footers, and now we're going to get 578. That's a great thing for bus riders. Of course, I think we need many more 60-foot buses, but this is a great start. New buses are always welcome. Another topic is the lack of improvement for real-time bus service information on third-party apps like Google and Citymapper. These are critical apps, big-time apps that people want to use. The real-time bus information from NJ Transit has constant problems. Google and Citymapper apps only have scheduled bus times from NJ Transit instead of real-time bus arrival details. We need updates from our customer advocate about this important problem. This is critical for bus riders, and we need follow-up from a customer advocate about this. My final topic is about the customer advocate position. I believe the NJ Transit customer advocate needs to advertise his position and contact information at NJ Transit stations and inside buses, light rail trains, and commuter rail trains. This is critical. The customer advocate must advertise his position because at least 90% of NJ Transit riders have no idea we have a customer advocate. At least, probably more than that. The NJ Transit customer advocate also must speak at the main NJ Transit board meeting. He needs to reply. He doesn't have to have all the answers, but at least reply to us at the main board meetings. After our public comments, he needs to reply at the main board meetings, which will give us some comfort that we are being heard. Not having him there makes no sense, and it definitely looks like you're hiding him. I mean, it's common sense. There's no justification for him not being at the main NJ Transit board meeting. Because the board doesn't even answer any questions, so we need the customer advocate at the main board meeting, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next public comment is coming from Joe Havrilla. Joe, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Hi, my name is Vito Havrilla. I'm the Vice Chair and Legislative Director of the Lackawanna Coalition, and I'm reading our statement. Contingency plans needed in shutdowns. Last Friday night, a work train derailed and caused damage to a length of track, and the Interlochen and Summit service was suspended on the Morris and Essex line on Saturday and much of Sunday. We understand that unexpected service outages can occur at any time. However, New Jersey Transit often leaves riders having to figure out a multi-stop contingency plan based off of the ABCs posted on the website, often leaving gaps or options that are not realistic. In some areas, there are no alternatives because the service doesn't run very often in both directions or at all on weekends. Why does New Jersey Transit not have a contingency plan available for when a segment or line is out of service? Suspending the M&E line should not have impacted service to Penn Station, considering the issue was at Summit. There are no plan to offer service between Newark Broad Street and New York this past weekend on Saturday and Sunday before service resumed at 3 p.m. on Sunday. In the past, New Jersey Transit has offered service to Penn Station on weekends when there is track work on the Montclair Route line. This is happening on October 11th and 12th. Why is this not part of the contingency plans for an unexpected outage? Why is this not a part of the contingency plans for an unexpected outage. This is another reason why the Montclair Bruin line should have hourly service on the weekend. If it was not possible to provide train service, why was there no bus replacement for those stations without train service? We understand they can take time to mobilize this action, but it's better than no service at all. 3 years ago, as an example, the riders in Morris County were left without service for 11 days, relying only on sparse local bus services instead of special substitute buses that would have bring them to New York Port Authority or Newark Penn Station. Thank you.
Thank you. And there were no other public comments at this time.
Thank you, public speakers. Do any board members have any questions or comments? Okay. Yes.
Board members, I want to take this opportunity to brief you on a couple of issues I think that are timely and very relevant to the work you do every day with us. First of all, let me thank my rail colleagues and bus colleagues and light rail colleagues. On Friday, there was on the HBLR, there was an incident where a driver of a boom truck had his boom up and as a result ripped up a bunch of catenary wires on the HBLR. The light rail folks, led by Mike Elcoin and Greg Woods, did a remarkable job of getting that service back into order by Saturday, and I'm so grateful for the work that they did. And on the M&E line, I love when people with little experience classify incidents as minor. I don't think an incident where 2,200 rail ties have to be replaced is a minor derailment. I know for a fact that Jimmy Sincaglia and his group worked from midnight Friday all the way through Sunday to make sure service is restored. We don't take these incidents lightly, and when they happen, I want to assure you that every single person, regardless of rank, steps up and does the work. And that's what board members you should expect from our staff. And that's exactly what happened, and I'm so grateful to Jimmy and his group to do that. I also want the board members address an issue that I think is timely and perhaps very important to the work we're all doing. You may have read a story by Colleen Wilson in the Bergen Record yesterday about how a tip from perhaps a BLET union member to her led her to ask questions about time cards submitted by Tommy Haas, the head of the BLET, and Don Melhorn, the vice chair of the BLET, about time cards they may have submitted that, frankly, were erroneous and improper. And based on that article, we did a preliminary review, and it has been discovered, subject to further evaluation, that at least $10,000 may be owed by those two individuals back to New Jersey Transit. This is very important. We are stewards of public taxpayer dollars, and we will take this to the very end and make sure that every penny that is rightfully deserved to be clawed back will be clawed back. I'm going to go one step further. This morning, I'm going to direct the General Counsel and Jimmy Sincaglia, the head of Rail Ops, to hire an integrity monitor today with a 5-week assignment. I want this integrity monitor to look at 3 things. 1, I want them to look at all administrative processes related to the BLET. 2, payroll processes on how we pay them when they submit their time cards. And 3rd, and most importantly, develop a roadmap of work rules that will be handed to the next governor for the negotiations in 2027. And I want to tell you why that's important. Work rules that help our customers and taxpayers are good work rules. Work rules that inherently hurt our taxpayers and riders are not good work rules. It is a simple philosophy. You pay people to work, but you don't incentivize people not to work. The fact that in July and August, of this year, when no other major infrastructure problem was going on, we had a 70% increase in unauthorized absences in July over last year, and a 20% increase in unauthorized absences from last August, tells you everything you need to know. I want to be clear. If someone is sick, somebody has a vacation planned, somebody has an emergency, there are time offs for that. You're entitled to take it. We encourage you to take it. We think it's important for you to make sure there are provisions for that. But what there is not a provision for, what we can never accept as a matter of principle, is somebody wakes up in the morning and decides they're not going to show up for their scheduled day of work because they don't feel like it. Could you think of one job in the country, in the world, where we would ever tolerate that? Well, clearly, that is something we have tolerated, and I'm going to ask the Integrity Monitor to review that practice, along with every other work rule that we think should be up for concession during the 2027 negotiations. I say this, board members, not because I'm against unions. In fact, there's no bigger proponent of unions than me. I negotiated in good faith, not once, but twice with the BLET. And you saw the results of it. They are happy. What I don't understand is if they're so happy, why aren't they showing up to work? It's not enough to wear a T-shirt that says the trains don't run without engineers. You actually got to show up to work. That's the simple and fundamental fact of what this is about. This is about fairness for taxpayers, fairness for our riders. That is what we're going to focus on. And I want to assure you, in 5 weeks, we will have a report that outlines the administrative recommendations, procedural recommendations to correct the efficiencies, clawback measures if they're appropriate, and most importantly, a roadmap for the next governor to make sure there are concessions that are discussed on the table. Not concessions for pay, I will remind people, but concessions because taxpayers cannot be expected to tolerate, and the riders of New Jersey will not ever tolerate us having a platform or protocols that somehow inherently hurt them. I will come back to you with a report in 5 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. The first staff report is the Operations and Customer Service Update. Anthony Greco.
Thank you, Megan. Good morning, board members and members of the public joining us today. We'll be presenting the August Operations and Customer Service Committee report this morning. Deanna Sumner from my team, who heads up customer service, will moderate and provide the customer service updates. And the heads from each of the operating divisions will report out on their respective areas. So with that, I'd ask everyone to turn to the next page, and I'll turn it over to Jim Sincaglia, Senior Vice President and General Manager of Rail Operations, to begin with the rail report. Jim?
Thank you, Anthony. We'll start with on-time performance. As you can see from the top left chart, when factoring in all causes, overall on-time performance was 91.4% in August, up from 86.9% in July. When adjusted to remove the impact of Amtrak-related causes, August on-time performance increases to 93.8%, up from 89.9% in July. You can also note increases in on-time performance for individual rail lines, such as the Northeast Corridor, which improves by nearly 6%, from 86.8% to 92.5%. Moving to the next slide. This chart provides an added illustration of on-time performance as well as mean distance between failure over time, and includes a graph, an on-time performance graph that is adjusted for Amtrak-related impacts. Mean distance between failure was 48,563 miles in August, up from 47,747 miles in July. Moving to the next slide. In August, there were 412 total cancellations, representing 2.2% of the 18,549 total trips, and dropping by 37% from 660 cancellations in July. There were 136 cancellations due to mechanical causes, down 46% from 256 mechanical cancellations in July. Approximately 8% of cancellations were due to unpreventable causes, which could include downed trees, flooding, inclement weather, utility and power failures, medical emergencies, local police activity, as well as trespasser incidents. There were 3 cancellations, just under 1%, due to Amtrak-related causes. You note the leading cause of cancellations in August was engineer availability, responsible for 172 cancellations, or nearly 42%. We saw a significant and unacceptable uptick in unplanned engineer absences this summer. To be clear, these are absences that are unscheduled or in addition to other pre-approved time off, such as vacations. For further context, there were 284 unplanned engineer absences in July of 2024. In July of 2025, there were 484 unplanned engineer absences. That's a 70% increase. In August 2024, there were a total of 556 unplanned engineer absences, while in August 2025, there were 669. That is a 20% increase year over year for August. There were 200 unplanned absences in June 2025, and September is a little over 200. This is clearly and undeniably an illustration of excessive locomotive engineer unplanned absences in July and August. For additional clarity, we have more than a sufficient number of engineers on the roster to operate the full regular schedule of trains. 400 is considered a full roster, and we currently have 418 active engineers on the roster. Excessive unplanned absences have an adverse impact on service. Each engineer typically operates a minimum of 4 trains per day. When an engineer who is scheduled to work takes off unexpectedly, our dispatchers have to work feverishly to reassign the work to minimize the impact to our rail customers. As was reported in the press last month, we had to send the engineers' union leadership a letter with a directive to notify their members to cease and desist from these excessive unplanned absences and remind them they have an obligation to come to work to deliver reliable service our customers deserve. Moving to the next slide. Moving to August rail performance by terminal and time, New York Penn Station trains reported overall on-time performance of 87.5% in August, up from 81.7% in July. Hoboken Terminal trains reported overall on-time performance of 96.1%, up from 91.4% in July. System-wide peak period trains on-time performance was 88.1% in August, up from 80%. Off-peak on-time performance was 92%, up from 87.9%, and weekend on-time performance was 93.9%, down from 95.1% in July. We would also like to note the improvements in on-time performance in comparing August 2024 to August 2025. More specifically, Hoboken on-time performance rose over 6% when comparing to last August. Moving to the next slide. For trip annulled canceled, on August 3rd, a trespasser fatality on the Raritan Valley line impacted service during the AM peak period. On August 13th, mechanical issues, Amtrak signal, and a locomotive issue on the Northeast Corridor caused delays and cancellations during the PM rush hour. On August 29th, Morgan Drawbridge caused cancellations during the evening peak period on the North Jersey coastline. Equipment issues also caused cancellations throughout the month, and we already discussed the excessive unplanned engineer absences in August that contributed to a significant number of cancellations, and the actions taken are noted on the slide. For trip delayed, on August 13th, Amtrak signal failures, New Jersey Transit mechanical issues, and an Amtrak trespasser fatality in Philadelphia area caused congestion and delays on the Northeast Corridor and North Jersey coastline. On August 19th, Amtrak equipment failures and New Jersey Transit equipment issues contributed to delays, and on August 27th, Amtrak signal failure, New Jersey Transit, and Amtrak program maintenance on the Northeast Corridor, North Jersey coastline, M&E, and Raritan Valley line caused delays, and Conrail trackside interference contributed to the delays. Then the actions taken are noted on the bottom of the slide. Moving to the next slide, I'll turn it over to Deanna.
Thank you, Jim. New Jersey Transit proudly supported National Rail Safety Week and the theme C-Tracks Think Train from September 15th to the 21st with in-person safety blitzes and system-wide messaging to remind customers, drivers, and pedestrians how to stay safe near railroad tracks. In partnership with Operation Lifesaver, we reinforce daily safety tips that can be used year-round, reflecting our ongoing commitment to keeping our riders and communities alert, informed, and safe. Moving to the next slide. As part of our ongoing commitment to modernize the rail fleet, enhance service reliability, and improve the customer experience, New Jersey Transit exercised a contract option on September 9th with Alston to purchase 200 additional multi-level rail cars. This puts New Jersey Transit firmly on the path to a fully modernized rail fleet by 2031. Additionally, we posted reminding customers to let New Jersey Transit be their ride to game day at MetLife Stadium all NFL season long. The Meadowlands Rail Line will operate for all Jets and Giants home games for the NFL season. Moving to the next slide, I will turn it over to Mike Kilcoyne for the bus report.
Thanks, Deanna. Looking at the bus charts, overall on-time performance in August was 92.2%, up from 90.6% in July, and it meets our goal of 90%. On-time performance for our major terminals in July is as follows. In August, is as follows. Port Authority bus terminals on-time performance was 91.1% in August compared to 88.6% in July. Hoboken terminals on-time performance was 90.2% compared to 89%. Atlantic City's on-time performance rose to 96.1% compared to 95.3%. Newark Penn Station's on-time performance rose to 94.6% in August compared to 95.6% in July. Walter Rand Transportation Center's on-time performance was 89.3%, up from 88.7% in July. Irvington Bus Terminal's on-time performance was 95.1%, up from 93% in July. Moving to the next slide, trip no-show comments were primarily related to operator availability and were spread evenly across northern and central divisions. Actions taken are noted on the slide. Trip delayed feedback was highest for the central and northern divisions and related to heavy traffic, accidents, disabled vehicles, road closures, as well as detours in construction that caused delays. Among the issues impacting service in and out of the Port Authority bus terminal, on August 1st, an overheight truck in the outbound tube caused delays. On the 14th, heavy inbound traffic due to a disabled private bus on 495 East caused delays. On the 15th, an accident at Gate 212 and heavy traffic caused up to 15-minute delays. On the 18th, a disabled bus on Platform 220 and a motor vehicle accident in the North Tube caused delays of up to 15 minutes. On the 19th, a truck fire on the New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur caused delays. On the 20th, an overturned truck near the Port Newark area caused 15-minute delays. On the 25th, a disabled bus in the South Tube of the Lincoln Tunnel caused 30-minute delays. At Newark Penn Station on August 12th, mechanical issues, a sick passenger, downed power lines, road construction with road closures and detours affecting multiple lines caused heavy delays. On the 28th, emergency roadblocks, mechanical issues, multiple road closures due to construction, and utility repairs caused delays. And on the 29th, mechanical issues, road closures, and detours on multiple roads due to construction caused delays. Actions taken are noted on the bottom of the slide. Moving to the next slide, I will turn it back over to Deanna.
Thank you, Mike. New Jersey Transit's Board of Directors recently advanced the agency's bus modernization program by authorizing the purchase of an additional 260 new 40-foot transit-style buses and up to 26 zero-emission buses. This final authorization puts New Jersey Transit on track to have a fully modernized bus and rail fleet by 2031. Delivering on President and CEO Chris Kalari's pledge to deliver a modern and reliable transit system for our customers. We were pleased to host an event with NJDOT Commissioner and New Jersey Transit Board Chair Fran O'Connor, New Jersey Congressman Rob Menendez, and New Jersey Transit President and CEO Chris Kalari yesterday at Newark Penn Station to mark the arrival of the first of 175 new 40-foot buses that will continue to arrive through June 2026. Moving to the next slide. As part of our continued commitment to fare modernization on our system, we were also pleased to announce the expansion of New Jersey Transit's new reusable Fare Pay card, which is now available for customers on all New Jersey Transit buses statewide, as well as the Newark Light Rail, Hudson Bergen Light Rail, and River Line. The card allows riders to load monthly passes, 10-trip bus tickets, or cash value for the convenience of tap-and-go travel. Moving to the next slide, I will turn it over to Stephen Visserina, Deputy Chief Light Rail Operations, who will be presenting the Light Rail report on behalf of Greg Woods, who is absent from today's meeting.
Thank you, Deanna. Overall, light rail on-time performance was 95.6% in August, up from 91.6% in July. For the month of August, on-time performance for Hudson Bergen Light Rail was 96.1% in August, up from 93.4% in July. Newark Light Rail on-time performance was 99.3% in August, up from 99.1% in July, and Riverline on-time performance was 91.3%, up from 82.3% in July. Light rail equipment reliability, measured in mean distance between failures, or MDBF, is as follows. For Newark Light Rail, MDBF was 4,955 miles compared to 4,876 miles. Riverline MDBF was 2,586 miles compared to 2,678 miles. And Hudson Bergen Light Rail MDBF was 13,682 miles, up from 12,890 miles. Moving to the next slide. Trip delayed feedback was received primarily for the Hudson Bergen Light Rail. The delays were caused by canceled trips due to operator availability. The issue stemmed from issues between the outgoing contractor and the union membership. It's important to note that HBLR operations and maintenance have now fully transitioned to the new contractor. Since the transition, the operator absences that were prevalent under the outgoing contractor have essentially been resolved. Actions taken are noted on the slide. For scheduled service, nearly all of our feedback was regarding the Hudson Bergen Light Rail. Impacts to service were traffic, police activity, and most of the feedback we received was from customers who were impacted by weekend maintenance work. Trains operating on a modified construction schedule. These critical projects are scheduled to the greatest extent possible to minimize customer impacts. Actions taken are noted on the bottom of the slide. Moving to the next slide. New Jersey Transit and Alstom have announced that responsibility for operating and maintaining the River Line have begun transitioning to New Jersey Transit, with full responsibility assumed within the next several months. This mutually agreed decision reflects the evolving investment needs of the service, which have grown beyond the current scope of Alstom's contract. This transition will enable New Jersey Transit to be best positioned to shape and implement the next steps that will strengthen and enhance the future of the service. Moving to the next slide, I will turn it back over to Deanna.
Thank you, Stephen. Social media is a critical part of our light rail communication efforts about projects and service updates. We issued social media posts for the Newark Light Rail highlighting efforts by our teams, which highlighted a signage refresh at Bloomfield Avenue Station. For HBLR, we issued posts on boarding changes and schedule adjustments that occurred during ongoing track work. We issued social media posts for the River Line to inform customers that New Jersey Transit will be operating on a holiday schedule for Labor Day. Moving to the next slide, I will turn it over to Namika Parker for the Access Link report.
Thank you, Deanna. Access Link on-time performance was 95.4% in August, unchanged from 95.4% in July. We served 135,653 total riders in August. The total number of cases for August was 65. The top issues generating feedback were service delays with 27 and scheduled service with 14. We received 161 commendations for the month of August, with 80 of them for our Access Link Operations Center staff. An example of a commendation we received includes D. Hunter. She called to commend reservation agent Kyla Howard Maple for the amazing job she did booking rides for her son. Mrs. Hunter stated she is always a little nervous about booking rides, but Kyla handled the call with kindness, patience, and very professional. Mrs. Hunter added she did a wonderful job and hopes to get her as an agent the next time she calls in to book rides. Moving to the next slide. We received 27 service delay comments in August. Communication in this area were evenly spread amongst regions. The highest area of concern was regarding operators not following all the pickup and drop-off directions. Our investigations revealed that the operators were either waiting at the incorrect store within a shopping plaza or at an incorrect spot or entrance at the customer's pickup location. Actions taken are noted on the slide. There were 14 customer comments in August. Again, this is out of more than 135,000 rides delivered. Scheduled service concerns include feedback such as reservation errors, rides booked with the wrong origin or destination, or wrong time quoted. We are diligently training and monitoring to ensure accuracy of trips requested. All identified errors were addressed with the appropriate agents, and we have increased our quality assurance efforts and will continue to provide ongoing staff training, and counseling as needed to minimize impacts to the customer experience. The actions taken are noted at the bottom of the slide, and moving to the next slide. In August, we held 2 well-attended customer forums, August 5th at St. John of God's and August 6th at John T. Gregory Recreation Center in Linden. We share updates on Access Link, including service statistics, the rider's choice process, voucher system, and future plans. Both forums provided valuable rider feedback and gave us an opportunity to answer many customer questions during the Q&A session. Moving to the next slide. Social media is a critical component of our Access Link communications. In August, we posted to inform customers about a virtual session on September 24th with representatives from our transportation network company partner, Uber. Customers learned more about Uber's services, how they work, and took part in a live Q&A. We also posted to remind customers if they have moved, changed their phone number, or created a new email address to ensure to update their information with us to ensure reliable communication and service. Moving to the next slide, I will turn it over to Deanna.
Thank you, Namika. Customer service received 42,848 calls in August. The 13-month rolling average was 40,283 calls. The average speed of answer for the Transit Information Center was 20 seconds, exceeding our goal of 30 seconds. The agents answered 95% of the calls in August. Moving to the next slide. New Jersey Transit received 180 commendations system-wide for August. I will read one to highlight the positive impact our staff has on the individual customer experience, in this case, a rail customer. On August 6th, I was originally scheduled to travel via Amtrak. I was traveling with my twin one-year-olds. Long story short, I was no longer able to travel via Amtrak, so I had to figure out alternative travel arrangements via New Jersey Transit while I was at Penn Station, New York. Every New Jersey Transit employee that I interacted with, ticketing agents, customer service, the waiting area attendant, and multiple conductors were so kind, respectful, and friendly. I had an extremely stressful morning, and I was on the brink of tears the entire time, but I felt much better after I was so well supported by all the New Jersey Transit employees that I encountered. I regret that I didn't get more names, but one of the folks who helped me was named Ainsley. There were also ticket agents and customer service representatives that I spoke to around 10 a.m., as well as the employee who helped me get from the waiting area to the train, and the conductors on the 10:43 a.m. train to Long Branch. Thank you. Moving to the next slide. On this page, we'll review social media reach and engagement. In August, New Jersey Transit social media messages were seen over 4 million times, which generated over 150,000 engagements and more than 25,000 visits to njtransit.com. During the month of August, the social media team sent 4,803 messages. This number represents a combination of informational posts and responses to customer inquiries. Moving to the next slide. New Jersey Transit CEO Chris Kalari hosted an event at Keene University to announce our Jersey Shores campaign on August 26 to celebrate the nation's 250th anniversary by connecting customers to more than 150 historic sites across New Jersey. CEO Kalari was joined by New Jersey State Senator and Senate Transportation Committee Chair Pat Dignan and New Jersey State Senator Joe Cryan to share the new interactive map available at njtransit.com/journeys. That highlights historic sites and landmarks such as Revolutionary War battlefields, colonial homes, museums, and monuments that are accessible by bus, rail, or light rail. Moving to the next slide. Earlier this month, New Jersey Transit CEO joined Governor Murphy and several local, county, and state officials to announce the beginning of the construction phase on the $70 million revitalization of New Brunswick train station in partnership with the Middlesex County Improvement Authority. The project includes a new ticketing center with a new elevator, as well as significant renovations to the historic station building and platforms. During that event, New Jersey Transit also announced Rutgers University as the next home of sponsor for the New Brunswick station. In support of our goal to maximize non-fare box revenue by leveraging our current assets, Rutgers University has signed a 3-year sponsorship agreement designating New Brunswick Station as the official home of Rutgers University. This is New Jersey Transit's 8th home of station sponsorship agreement. The partnership includes prominent station signage and dedicates a portion of advertising space to Rutgers campaigns, further integrating the university into the city's central transportation hub while generating important revenue for New Jersey Transit. Moving to the next slide. For the 5th straight year, Forbes has named New Jersey Transit to its renowned America's Best In-State Employers 2025 list. For the 3rd straight year, New Jersey Transit again ranked #1 in transportation and logistics category and 54th out of 90 employers in New Jersey. The survey, according to Forbes, measures leading companies from around the world to identify those best liked by employees. Moving to the next slide. Our New Jersey Transit Police Department continued its strong social media presence. The New Jersey Transit Police Department's canines were recently featured on News 12 New Jersey. The piece showcased the dog's important duty on keeping our system safe. The New Jersey Transit Police also met with future law enforcement officers at the New Providence Youth Police Academy. Lieutenant Spalazza shared insight into the department as well as information regarding operations and tools used to protect the system. Now I would like to turn it over to Chief Chisillo for an update on NJTPD initiatives.
Thank you, Deanna. I'd like to report out on our outreach efforts, which we're very concerned with as we move into the fall and then eventually the cold weather season. Officers across the state encountered 628 at-risk individuals this month, and I'm happy to report that 204 of them accepted some type of social service from our officers. We continue to partner with the State Attorney General's office on the issue of mental health with the ARRIVE program. We had 22 encounters with the state mental health workers, and 6 of those 22 accepted mental health support. I'm happy also to report that Narcan usage is down this month. We only had to deploy Narcan 8 times in September. Year to date, we've deployed Narcan 161 times, saving 161 lives. Smoking, we know that's an important concern among our customers, and this month officers issued 17 summonses. And year to date, we've issued 424 summonses for smoking. In September, the Office of OEM also facilitated a full-scale exercise on the Newark City subway on September 6th at our Grove Street location. We tested our agency's emergency response procedures and also our first responder partners. The exercise went very well. OEM is also monitoring weather because we're in the middle of hurricane season, and we monitor and inform the business lines on a weekly basis of any weather that may impact New Jersey Transit operations. And Deanna, that's my report.
Thank you, Chief. Moving to the next slide. And we'll close with a slide that illustrates the press releases we issued during the month. And that concludes the Operations and Customer Service report.
Thank you. Do any board members have any questions or comments? Okay, we'll move on to the next staff report, the Customer Advocate Update. Frank?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Megan. I will start with slide 1 with the comments collected via the Customer Advocate online form. As you can see on the slide, and although all of them were shared with the appropriate teams and escalated in the appropriate manner, I wanted to highlight just a couple of these comments. Got a complaint about overcrowding on Route 192, in particular at the last stop in Clifton. A slight adjustments to Route 105, which is adjacent to 192, introduced as part of the September schedule change, has improved the situation. I tested it myself. The other one was the report of overcrowding on Bergen Line train 1154. The rail team assessed ridership and added an extra coach to the train set. Now, I understand this is not always possible, given the limited number of coaches available, but I truly appreciated this step as it made a real difference for customers. Next slide, please. On this slide, you'll find some of the topics I was tagged on X, former Twitter. One of the major topics was the HBLR cancellation during peak hours at the end of August. Stephen Vasarina addressed the issue earlier, and it seems that we're in a much better position since the end of the transition between contractors. Next slide, please. On August 5th, the operational teams and I hosted a listening forum at Newark Penn Station where we had numerous engaging conversations with our customers. As you can imagine, many concerns were about service reliability, but all of these concerns were shared with the appropriate department, and I wanted to highlight the other aspect of the passenger experience customer talked about. On bus, mention of cleanliness issues reported on board and at bus gates. Reliability concerns with departure time shown on my bus. For light rail, complaints for discrepancies on the schedule during weekend service disruptions, and suggestions for increased police presence and fare enforcement. For rail, complaints about air conditioning on trains. Keep in mind this was early August. Suggestions for one-seat rides between Raritan Valley Line and New York Penn, as well as for the New Jersey coastline through Hoboken Terminal. For light rail, complaints for escalators remaining out of service at Newark, and cleanliness concerning the men's restroom at Penn Station. I will announce the next listening forum very soon. Next slide, please. I attended the AccessLink customer forums that Namika Parker just mentioned in Westville and Linden in early August, a very interesting format allowing the AccessLink teams to provide service updates, but also to collect customer comments and concerns. On this slide, you will see a summary of the discussions I observed on both days, and I encourage AccessLink customers to register to attend the virtual forum scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday, October 1st, njtransit.com/accessibility. Next slide, please. My metrics report will cover both July and August, starting with rail. Following July's delays and cancellation, customer concern rose 47% per 10,000 passengers compared to June, yet we're 2% lower than in July of last year. August rebounded strongly with a 44% drop in concerns per riders from July and the second best score of the year after April. In July, nearly every train line saw a higher concerns ratio compared with June, with the Pascack Valley line the sole exception showing a 9% decline. The pattern shifted in August, except for the Atlantic City line, which rose 19%. All lines recorded notable improvements, most prominently the Northeast Corridor, Maine and Bergen line, and the New Jersey coastline. In July, service-related concerns ratio rose sharply due to delays and cancellation from equipment or crew availability, reaching 2.77 per 10,000 riders, over a point over the 12-month average. Last month, in August, concerns fell across all categories, despite ongoing mechanical issue on the Atlantic City line, with service minus 57% and passenger information minus 73% seeing the largest drops. Next slide, please. For light rail, this summer, the concerns per 10,000 passengers rose gradually, up 9% in July and another 9% in August. The Newark light rail concern ratio remained stable throughout the summer. In contrast, the Austin Bergen light rail saw a 60% increase over 2 months, driven by trip cancellations that I already mentioned. The River Line moved in the opposite direction, achieving a 61% drop in concerns per 10,000 passengers between June and August. Despite the River Line's reliability gains over the past 2 months, overall service-related concerns exceeded the annual average last month because of operator challenges on the HPLR. Most categories increased, including passenger information, which doubled compared with June, but in contrast, concerns about the app and website fell by 40%. Next slide, please. For bus, after a sharp 40% jump in concern in July compared with June, concerns per 10,000 passengers fell 35% in August, reaching the second best score of the year and nearly matching the same period last year. Every division saw concern rise in July and fall again in August. The strongest improvement came from the Northern Division, with a 20% drop compared with June and an impressive 53% decrease from July. The Central Division also declined 21% from July, but remained 11% above its June level. Service-related issues remained the top source of concern this summer, but August showed a 16% improvement compared with June and came in well below the annual average. Overcrowding conditions also improved in August and left the top 7. On the other hand, complaints about employee performance and fare collection issues held steady throughout the season. Next slide, please. In July, AccessLink concerns per 10,000 passengers fell to a historic low, dropping 37% compared with June. In August, they inched up by 11%, but stayed well below the new target. All regions experienced a significant decline in concerns this summer. Region 4 recorded the highest concern ratio overall, yet still achieved a 15% decrease compared with June. Nearly all categories saw their concern ratio decline over the summer, with service delays dropping 37% compared with June. New Jersey Transit employee performance issue was the only category to see an increase, keeping it above its annual average, however. Next slide. This is my last slide, actually. So first, I'd like to highlight that NJ Transit teams continue to enhance passenger information making it easier for riders, including those new to the system, to plan their trips. The IT teams has upgraded the trip planner with valuable new features. Riders can now see complete itineraries, including walking segments, and all stops between origin and destination, with a full journey displayed directly on Google Maps. In addition, the New Jersey Transit website now provides HBLR schedule during weekends with service disruptions, and the IT team is working to make this feature available on the app very soon. I'd also like to share my areas of focus, starting with the temporary Hoboken bus terminal. During the construction of the new terminal, bus customers have been using a temporary facility where the familiar signage was missing. To help address this, I suggested adding route-specific schedule and terminal map and wayfinding signage, especially to guide customers to the new Route 126 boarding area. I said signage was missing because the bus and communication team have already delivered all of these signs. And even though the facility is temporary, it is now equipped with new passenger information stands that provide clear details about bus departures and location. Building on customer feedback from the last board meeting, as well as board member Nara's comments on passenger information, I believe this approach could be replicated at other hubs across the network. While some of the stations mentioned at the board meeting last week are not directly managed by New Jersey Transit, we will collaborate with the appropriate teams to pursue similar improvements. I also wanted to highlight the importance of continuing to improve the quality of the data provided through My Light Rail and My Bus, and I do appreciate the efforts already underway across multiple departments, both on short-term solution and long-term enhancements. And finally, since cleanliness is a recurring theme in both listening forums and the customer service database, I want to note that we are exploring solutions to enhance it, particularly on both buses and light rail. These efforts may also be supported by targeted communication campaign, including social media. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you. Do any board members have any questions or comments? Okay, next is the cost of service update. Jacqueline Stanford.
Thank you, Megan. This slide presents key performance indicators related to our cost of service. Specifically, farebox revenue per passenger, subsidy per passenger, cost per passenger, total cost of service, and farebox recovery rates. In August, across all modes and on an average per passenger basis, we recognized revenues of approximately $4.31 on costs of $14.24 for a recovery ratio of 30%. Per passenger subsidies of between $4.90 and $10.40 were required for bus, rail, and light rail service, with farebox recovery ratios of 37% for bus, 42% for rail, and 10% for light rail. Access Link's recovery ratio was 2%. Thank you. This concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any board member questions or comments? Okay, next is the customer satisfaction survey results. Susan O'Donnell.
I know time is short, so I'm going to go through this really quickly. Next slide. This slide is some background on the survey. It's all 4 modes. It's conducted in the spring and the fall. Customers rate their satisfaction with service on a scale of 0 to 10 and identify the traits most important to them. The survey is online, and there's an option to call us, and we'll call you back and do it over the phone if you prefer that. Next slide. The Spring 2025 survey was conducted between June 16th and July 6th. Some context about that: it was right after the rail strike was settled and as the fare change was being implemented. The survey has our standard questions and some COVID questions, which I'm going to talk about next. Next slide. On this slide, we ask customers who travel by transit to work what days of the week they made those trips. So this is a distribution of work trips by day for the last 4 surveys. While the days that customers typically travel to their office vary by mode and market, the trends have remained consistent for the past 4 surveys. And it's also consistent with ridership or overall ridership data, which is shown by the red lines. Next slide. This slide shows how many weekdays per week customers travel by New Jersey Transit to their worksite. Rail riders increased from an average of 2.9 days a week to 3.1 days a week. Next slide. On this slide, we asked customers about their company's current office worksite attendance policy. There was various options shown on the slide. Full-time in the office has increased for rail, light rail, and local bus since fall 2024, while hybrid decreased for all those markets. Next slide. The system-wide survey results are shown on this slide. Overall satisfaction for spring 2025 was 6.3, and the likelihood to recommend percentage was 76%. Next slide. For bus, the overall satisfaction score was 6.5, and the likelihood to recommend percentage was 79%. Next slide. This is overall satisfaction by the bus market for the last 4 surveys. Next slide. This slide shows the top 10 most important traits for bus customers. And the bars show the percent of customers that gave a satisfactory score of 5 or more for the spring, shown in that light bluish, and the fall shown in the dark teal color. The top 3 most important were the same, and 9 of the 10 attributes were in the fall top 10 list. A majority of the respondents were satisfied with the performance of these attributes. Next slide. This slide shows a summary of responses to 3 open-ended questions we have at the end of the survey, asking what's something that we can improve about your travel experience, what's something you liked about your travel experience, and what is something would encourage you to ride more frequently. The top 5 topic areas for all 3 questions have remained the same as the fall survey. Next slide. This is, again, the top 10 list for all 4 bus markets, and generally they've remained steady between the last 2 surveys, the top 10 attributes. Next slide. This is some context about the bus scores. This first page talks about context related to facilities and payment options. On the next page is context about bus on board conditions and seating availability. And before I go to rail, I just wanted to give a little bit more context about the rail results. In addition to the survey happening right after the rail strike and as the fare change was being implemented, the survey was also conducted in the middle of the FIFA World Cup games, which added some crowding to existing service. And during the survey period, specifically on June 21st to June 26th, we had a record-breaking heat wave, which presented some additional challenges. Next slide. The rail system scores are shown here. Overall satisfaction was 5.6 and likelihood to recommend was 69%. Next slide. This slide is the overall satisfaction scores for the first 4 rail lines, and the next slide is for the remaining 4 rail lines. And then we'll move on to the next slide, which is the top 10 service traits for rail. And the top 10 were actually identical, but there was some shifting in the 1 to 10 order. Next slide. In terms of comments with respect to rail, the respondents in the approved and liked and encouraged were identical to the previous survey and in similar proportions. Next slide. These are the top 10 most important service traits and the percent that gave an acceptable score of 5 or more for the first 4 rail lines, and these are also in, these traits are similar, but in slightly different order. Next slide. And these are the last 4 rail lines. And something of note, safety joined the top 10 as important for the Pascack Valley line. Next slide. This is the rail score context. This slide talks about rail service and schedules. The next slide talks about mechanical progress and engineering initiatives. And then we'll move on to light rail. The overall satisfaction for light rail in the spring was 6.5, and 77% of customers were likely to recommend. Next slide. Here are the satisfaction scores for the 3 light rail lines. Next slide. And the top 10 most important for the rail lines and the rail system. Weekday midday schedule joined the system-wide top 10 with more than 75% of respondents reporting satisfied scores. Next slide. This is the comments for light rail. Schedules new to the top 5 categories for things that customers said they liked about their trip, while the categories for improve and encourage remained similar. Next slide. In terms of light rail score context, this page talks about Hudson Bergen light rail and discusses parking, facilities, and scheduling. The next slide talks about, actually the next 2 slides talk about Newark Light Rail score context. This slide talks about facilities, cleanliness, elevators, and station maintenance and repairs. And on the next slide, there's some continued discussion of scheduling and on-time performance and vehicle interior. The next slide, or the next two slides, talk about the River Line, including staffing and maintenance. And the slide after that talks about onboard vehicle condition and transit info and signage. Moving on to Access Link, overall satisfaction increased to 8.0 from 7.9 in fall 2024, and likelihood to recommend was 84%. The next slide is the top 10 most important service traits for Access Link, and they were the same as the previous survey and in the same order. More than 80% of respondents indicated satisfaction with these attributes. Next slide. The topic areas, schedule or scheduling is new to the top 5 comment categories for things customers said to improve. Employees were the most frequently cited about what they liked. And taxi, Uber, Lyft joined the list of items that would encourage more use of transit. In terms of, next slide, in terms of Access Link score context, this slide discusses the Rider's Choice pilot. The next slide discusses the interactive response, or IVR, artificial intelligence, and on-time performance. And this slide, the final slide on Access Link score context, discusses outreach and education. And with that, I will take a breath and wrap it up and say the overall satisfaction score for New Jersey Transit was 6.3. 76% of customers recommend New Jersey Transit. The scores have been shared internally and will be posted on the website later today. And the next survey will happen in the fall of 2025.
Thank you.
Board members, if I could just make an observation. I've always said to you that my job is to not just talk to you about the good, but also take ownership of when things are not going well. I take it very personally. The context laid out about a strike, the heat, and other issues notwithstanding, those scores and the decline in the scores don't make me happy. And I think it is important to say that that is not the expectation of this system. And what I want to assure you is that those surveys are meant to be a point-in-time reflection of the customers, but it's an important reflection. We don't take these lightly. I don't take this lightly. I want you to know that when a score like that comes out, our job is not just brush it under the carpet, but to actually look at it and understand it and see how we can improve it. So I want you to know that if there is a person that owns this, it's me. And I'm telling you that this is an important data point for us and for me, and rest assured I will focus on it and just make sure in the next survey that we have made improvements markedly across the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any board member questions or comments?
I have one, and I know I'm trying not to get too granular, but I heard you say, and I saw on the slide very briefly, that safety had entered into the Passac Valley lines, issues for the first time. So was there any particular thing that went on there, or can somebody just get back to us on that? Because to have something join the concerns for the first time, something like safety, I just wanted a little bit more information on that at some point. Thanks.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Okay, that concludes the agenda for the Operations and Customer Service Committee. The Administration Committee meeting will begin after a short break so we can transition to the next meeting. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good morning. The September 30th, 2025 Administration Committee meeting will now begin. I will now take roll call. Board Member Marocco.
Here.
Vice Chair Carson.
Here.
Board Member Spalla.
Here.
Board Member McCray.
Here.
For the record, Vice Chair Carson and Board Members Marocco, McCray, Spalla are participating remotely. Board Members Thomas and Weiss are absent. There are no in-person speakers and no pre-registered telephone speakers. Those participating by telephone, if you have not already done so, please press *1 on your telephone keypad to enter the queue to speak. You'll hear a brief tone to indicate you have successfully entered the queue. Operator, please open the floor for public comments.
Thank you. As a reminder, if you have not already done so, please press *1 on your telephone keypad to enter the queue to speak. You will hear a brief tone to indicate your line has successfully entered the queue. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes for their public comment. A warning will be provided with 1 minute remaining, and again with 15 seconds remaining. And there is one public comment in queue, and it's coming from Andy Weiss. Andy, your line is live, and your time will now begin.
Good morning. I'm back again. Hey, I just have a few comments here. We have a problem at bus stop number 21696. Again, bus stop 21696 at 49th and Bergen Line Avenue. Drivers are constantly parked in the bus stop. Constant parking. And I found a solution that's already being used in Jersey City. It's called a raised bus stop curb extension. It's from a company called Zicla, Z-I-C-L-A. It's being used right now in Jersey City next to the Grove Street pass station. These raised curb extensions for bus stops prevent drivers from illegally parked at a bus stop. This bus stop desperately needs it. It's right next to a 7-Eleven and some other, and cars are constantly parked in the bus stops. We need help from the NJ Transit Police to patrol these bus stops. This should be considered your property. Even though it's in another town, you should consider it your own property, because the NJ Transit Police have statewide jurisdiction. Drivers constantly park in the bus stop. When I ask them to leave, they get argumentative. And the NJ Transit Police are nearby at the Hudson Bergen Light Rail Station, and they will not help with bus stop parking. The NJ Transit Police would rather sit in their SUV instead of helping to clear illegal parking at NJ Transit bus stop. Again, the company is called Zicla, Z as in zebra, I-C-L-A. And they have a vectorial bus stop platform that is a raised curb extension that prevents illegal parking in NJ Transit bus stops. Final issue is the union members, as you guys mentioned. I got to be honest, many union members are rude, they're mean, and many of them lack basic communication skills. Many NJ Transit union members have no de-escalation skills. They will yell at you. They won't even hesitate. There's no training with these union members. For example, the bus starters at the Port Authority bus terminal are famous for being rude, unbelievably rude. And commuter rail conductors get a tremendous amount of complaints for rudeness. All of the union contracts must have mandatory customer service training. The unions only care about themselves instead of NJ Transit riders. They have bad attitudes, and they need mandatory customer service training. Thank you.
Thank you. There were no other public comments at this time.
Thank you. Are there any board member questions or comments? Okay. The first staff report is the financial update. Jacqueline Stanford.
Thank you, Megan. I'm pleased to present New Jersey Transit's financial report representing the second period of fiscal year 2026. Additional information related to key performance indicators, vacancy trends, revenue and ridership, and profit and loss details not presented can be found in the appendix to this presentation. Page 1 of the report shows a summary of fiscal year-to-date operating results as of August 31st. New Jersey Transit saw a net loss from operations of $36.1 million and realized a $1 million gain due to the timing of reimbursable project revenue for a total net income of negative $35.2 million. This compares to last year when we reported a $149.5 million loss from operations, drew $165 million of federal COVID relief funding, and had a $2.2 million net positive reimbursable project revenue for a total net income of $17.7 million. Compared to budget, total operating revenues were unfavorable by $23.5 million, or 4.7%. Farebox revenue in August was $159.9 million, which was $3.3 million, or 2% less than budget, but 24.2 or 17.8% more than August of last year. Commercial revenue from various sources totaled $18.5 million in August, or $8.3 million less than budgeted. State operating assistance was $138.7 million in August, reflecting the monthly receipt of assistance scheduled to total $832.5 million in fiscal year 26. Funding from the New Jersey Turnpike Authority was $78.3 million, reflecting the monthly receipt of assistance scheduled to total $470 million in fiscal year 26. Lastly, other grants and assistance, consisting primarily of federal funding for preventive maintenance, as well as clean energy funding, totaled $81.8 million, or $11.8 million less than budget. On the expense side, year-to-date total operating expenses were $12.7 million, or roughly 2.5% more than budget. This is largely due to a continuing low percentage of vacant positions, as well as increased use and cost of materials and supplies. Revenue expenditures together resulted in net income from operations that was $35.2 million unfavorable to budget. On page 3 is a view of Farebox revenues by mode over the past 12 months. The dashed line at the top of each graph is the budgeted revenue, while the solid line represents the actual revenue since September of 2024. Revenues through April of this year have followed budget trend except for May and June. Revenues were 101.1% of budget in July and 95% of budget in August. Rail and bus revenues were 98% and 91% of budget, with rail at 34% and bus at 18% more than August of 2024. Page 4 highlights selected major balance sheet items. New Jersey Transit's operating cash balance on August 31st was $70.4 million. There was a zero balance on our credit facility, and we had a long-term debt balance of $1.7 billion. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Board members, any questions or comments? Okay, that concludes the agenda for the Administration Committee meeting. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect.